Hi, my name is Julio and I'm going to present my challenge of globalizations that I choose for this evidence. The challenge I choose is migration. This phenomenon has existed since the discovery and colonization of the American continent and the commerce between Asia and Africa. Nowadays, migration has grown exponentially thanks to the transportation advancements made during the 19th century, combined with the new advancements in social media, which made it possible for migrants to locate possible destinations for migrating and having access to a better quality of life. Unfortunately, migration is not always voluntary. Millions of persons migrate each year due to external causes, such as climate change, natural disasters, war, or criminal violence. These scenarios force migrants to search or escape from their respective countries of origin as refugees or voluntarily. Other reasons for migration are economic factors, searching for a better salary, lower inflation, better quality of life, or educational opportunities. Migrants, when arriving in another country, also bring with them their cultural traditions and beliefs, which collide with the cultural beliefs of the destination country. This is one of the greatest challenges that migration produces over globalization. The mixture of cultures that collide in some areas has opened the path to social discrimination and margination of cultural groups, often being assaulted by their beliefs, religions, or languages. Also, in many situations, the destination country forces their culture over the migrants, often forcing them to change their language and stop celebrating their traditions and rituals to replace them with the rituals of the dominant country and culture. This problem also happens the other way around. Migrants often reject and disrespect the cultures and beliefs of their destination country to maintain the culture and lifestyle that they have in their home nation. This clash of cultures produces effects such as the separation of cultures into safe groups to protect their values, beliefs, and stereotypes in the population of the destination country over the migrants, often seeing them as strangers, threats, thieves for their culture, economic stability, and quality of life, creating hate toward strangers and misconception about foreign cultures. Now, talking specifically on the Syrian question, the city I choose for the solution is Ciudad Juárez, my own home city. Located on the northern border of Mexico with the USA, migration is a daily theme due to the increasing number of migrants that arrive in the city month by month. The city itself has a wide history of migration, being always a pathway to pass to the United States, being called in the past El Paso del Norte due to this characteristic. But with the new politics of USA over migration, thousands of migrants have been returned to the city of Juarez by the Border Patrol to wait for the opportunity to get a visa in order to get into the country. In addition, the pandemic brought various economic and political problems to countries in Central America, in addition with corruption and criminal activity in those countries, causing a huge wave of people to migrate to the USA and having to arrive in Juarez City to pass to the other side, being stuck here as well as the other migrants. Now, for some statistics, according to the data from the World Food Programme in 2018, there are approximately 266 million migrants in the world, 26 million of those being refugees, and also estimates around 70 million people being forced to migrate to other parts. As we see, these numbers are incredibly high. Most of the migrants coming from countries in the Middle East, Africa, and Central America, many having cases of war, extreme poverty, violence related to criminal gangs, corruption, and poor economic schemes. Billions of people are forced to abandon their countries seeking help from neighboring developing nations, such as Europe, the United States, and Australia being the main receiver countries according to statistics. This forced or intentional migration to these regions has developed in some nations a sense of hate and disapproval toward the migrants, in which countries like the UK or France constantly protest against the migration policies imposed by the European Union. As we notice, countries like Syria or Congo have cultures very different from the ones in Western nations, such as France or the UK. This clash of cultures has produced a series of discrimination and segregation that ended in the isolation of communities. One example being the ghetto neighborhoods in Denmark that immigrants from various countries populate. In addition, many countries have declared that one of the biggest expenses on their nation is the attention to refugees and migrants, reaching quantities, according to statistics, of more than $10 billion in programs for helping migrants in developing nations. This attached to the 10,000 claims of violent discrimination and racism toward migrant communities such as Asian, Muslim, Hispanic, or African being the main communities focused by this type of discrimination. In Juarez, the main countries from which migrants come are Venezuela, Guatemala, Honduras, and also southern part of Mexico, emigrating due to factors such as inflation, corruption, and also criminal activity, factors that grew up due to the pandemic, reporting over 800,000 migrants in the span of 3 months, maintaining this type of numbers while USA changes the migrant policies being stuck in the city. The problem starts when many of the refugees and migrants start running out of space, since many of these type of refugees only has a space for around 300 persons. Now, with some new cultural elements starting with religion, in many countries, religion is one of the main reasons people are stereotyped or persecuted. Examples like the World War II with the Jewish community or the hatred USA demonstrated toward the Muslim community at the beginning of the millennium illustrate the impact religion can have. Many people who are forced to live in other countries due to conflicts in their origin nations have to be careful in demonstrating their religion, since most countries see religions like Islam and Jewish as threats to the practice of religions such as Catholicism or Christianity. Examples of these are the thousands of Muslims people living in countries such as France or Germany, known to be Christian and Catholic countries. Also, religion is one of the main causes of migration of Muslims due to the significance of religious places in the Middle East and the deep connections with traditions these have, producing a massive current of migrants directed towards sites where other religions like Hinduism are practiced. Being specific with Ciudad Juarez, many of the migrants that come to the city are either Christian, Catholic, or Muslim, also being a low minority of Jewish. This mixture that always congregate in the refugees or migrants, such as Casa del Migrante, has and other places some special locations or places such as churches, libraries, or sanctuaries where people can profess their religions in peace during these hard times. Now, following with climate change and natural disasters, the effects of climate change have produced an increase in the migrant population. It has made many places in the world inhabitable for human beings. Regions in the Middle East, such as Afghanistan or Syria, have had an increase in temperature over their years, making obtaining water almost impossible in these regions, producing wide population sectors to abandon those deserts. Also, another bigger effect of climate change is the increase in natural disasters, increasing their strength and occurrences per year. Entire cities have been demolished by the effects of recurring natural disasters that leave the population with no other option than to abandon those regions in search of cities and countries with a better quality of life and low natural disaster occurrences. Examples of this are the earthquakes in Haiti, which destroyed the capital of the country and produced a massive of refugees toward Mexico and other Caribbean nations, or the hurricanes in the Caribbean that, with their strong winds and storms, have claimed the life of thousands of people in the Caribbean, producing large amounts of migrants to travel inland into the American continent, seeking for stability and protection against these disasters. Being specific also to Juarez, here we are in a seismic regions, so many people of southern Mexico and Central America travel through here in order to escape the recurrent earthquakes in the region. Also, here is due to the mountains and hills. This is a region where tornadoes and hurricanes can pass or aren't as strong as in the southern parts of Mexico or the Caribbean. So many people in the South and Central America and Southern America tend to travel to places in the north, such as here Juarez or other parts of the state, in order to escape from these natural disasters. With the number of migrants increasing, the reports of discrimination and violence toward migrants have also spiked up, especially by police forces or the National Guard. In response to this, various organizations like Casa del Migrante, one of the most important in the city, have grown their efforts to provide the migrants with a safer and more stable place to live while they wait to be processed in the United States. My solution goes along the path of this organization. I propose two things for my solution. One, it's applied to the migrants inside Casa del Migrante, and the second one is applying to principally teenagers, young adults, and kids or younger generations in the city. For the migrants, Casa del Migrante offers some activities to entertain them while they live in there that usually it's in a span of 2 weeks, but due to the large waves of migrants, this period of time has been increased to even months. So, the efforts for entertaining the migrants have grown increasingly in Casa del Migrante. For this, I propose to offer special workshops focused on adults about abilities that they can use either for repairing and renewing the things inside Casa del Migrante or to find jobs around the city, for having an economic help, and also for getting to know the culture of the city while they demonstrate their own through their work. These workshops will include carpentry, blacksmith, painting, gardening, plumbing, cooking, between others, that they can be offered by organizations such as Agalog, which is a store similar to Home Depot that offer equipment such as things for wood crafting or blacksmithing. Also, other organizations such as Gaspro, which is an organization that offers a variety of workshops related to jobs such as gardening, cooking, or house chores. This is for, how I said, having an economic help and also for getting to know the culture of the city while demonstrating their own through their work. For the other part of the solution is offering workshops or talks about cultural diversity to schools, since it's also important to teach the younger generations about diversity and discrimination to break this chain of stereotypes and stigma over migrants, and also to make them see the possibilities cultural cooperation can have and the impacts positive they could have in our own, also creating a sense of empathy and respect among cultures. This workshop will be imparted by students that study cultural diversity or have been taught about this type of ways of study by universities such as Tec de Monterrey, UACJ, or UACJ, that are the main universities in the city that offer this type of workshops, and also the students make this as an voluntary way in schools already. So adding these workshops to the Cooperation for Casa del Migrante will be helpful for aiming to creating a new way of thinking for the younger generations in the city. Now, going with the objectives, this solution aims to diminish the negative view the city has over migrants, also providing the migrants with new abilities to gain independence through work, since they will be able to sustain themselves while patiently waiting for their turn to pass to the USA. Introducing the migrants as a workforce in the city helps both their image and also provides Casa del Migrante with more donations and help once the city the values of the cultural diversity. As I mentioned, this also aims to eliminate misconceptions through teaching the younger generation about these types of situation and creating a sense of empathy toward foreign cultures. Now, going with the stakeholders, Casa del Migrante, being the main stakeholder, has been open since the 90s in the city, receiving migrants for up to 2 weeks, as I said, but now due to the pandemic and the number of migrants, this period has an indefinite extension, being up to months. Through religious counseling and also moral support, they receive migrants independently of their culture, being one of the most diverse organizations in the city because it holds a wide variety of cultures inside it, aiming for a good convivence of them on the inside. Now, for the police force, they are negative stakeholders, since they are the reason many migrants are afraid of being outside the house. They recently adopted a culture of discrimination toward migrants, in many cases leading to violent acts of power over them. This discriminatory culture has driven the injuring of many migrants and locals, often identifying them by their accents, religious beliefs, or traditions. These acts have brought fear to both migrants and locals, since they are going against the empathic culture of the city. Schools. I put this stakeholder together since both schools have an empathic culture and aim to help and provide for the community, both of them being direct allies of Casa del Migrante. These, USGJ and Tech, have worked together in order to teach about cultural diversity, not only through younger generations but also making events and donations to the house, promoting the community to help them, and also implementing solutions in and out the organization for the well-being of the people inside it, also being known by their culture of cultural appreciation and love for diversity. What is community? The last stakeholder is the community of the city, has played an important role. The city is known by its culture of being empathic, generous, and open to diversity, but the recent acts of police forces have disrupted this culture with violence and hate. This solution aims to get back that historical generous culture this border community used to have in order to be a safer place for the integration of migrants both in social work and life. Now, power dynamics between them. All runs through Casa del Migrante. By being one of the oldest institutions in the city, it has strengthened its relationship with the community, creating a safe private space for the migrants with specific rules. The relationship it has with business like Agalor or Smart or schools which are USJ or Tec de Monterrey and organizations such as Gazpro, made by voluntary donations and workshops they have given to the institution. They do not have a contract or act that obligates them. They donate their time in a sense of friendly relationship for the well-being of the community. The real dynamic comes into action when involving border patrol and police force. The police force and Casa del Migrante have a strict relationship by being in a private area. The police force has no access to inside the house, only if they have a permit of the house to pass. But if they are maintained outside for the protection of the migrants. As with border patrol, the house only helps the migrants by providing them a connection with the civil area of the government for the trade of documentation and also for trades with the USA. Type of resources. The human resources are through organizations and business such as Agalo or Gazpro. They constantly provide free workshops about many types of professions such as plumbing, gardening, woodcrafting, cooking, couchers, etc. The people that are offered are volunteered and often offer their service to organizations to help the community. These type of volunteers are the ones we need for the making of the workshops since they can collaborate with Casa del Migrante. Infrastructure and economic. Casa del Migrante has space designed for workshops and courses, so we can use this type of room in order to give the workshops. Also has a wide outside part where people can bring up tables and chairs to impart outside courses for woodcrafting or gardening. In the question of the economic part, most of the material used in the workshops imparted by the organization previously mentioned donate most of the time materials during their workshops, most of them being materials that are either not able to be sold or just have surpassed the inventory of some types of resources. Most of them also get to Casa del Migrante and other associations as donations, so they can destinate a part of those donations in the courses of those organizations. The migrants are also known to help in the reparation of Casa del Migrante, so workshops will have a double purpose in this area. In conclusion, it's important to consider the cultural aspect of an issue, since they change and affect how we see and interact with our environment, but more important, how we interact with other cultures and issues. They will shape the perspective we have toward an issue and even affect the type of solution we have toward it. Many people do not like things that go against their cultural belief or morals, rejecting most of the implementations and ideas to solve the problem. In order to bring up resolutions, we need to know how culture is involved in it, to satisfy the community as a whole, respecting each trace that initially converged in the same place. I consider this while doing the solution, since workshops allow cultural diversity, since each region of culture has its way of working and managing. This proposal aims to give access to new abilities to incorporate cultural diversity through professional work around the city, while giving education to children about the values of different cultures and their importance in a globalized world. Finally, as a cultural citizens, we need to aim to live to respect and appreciate the perspective of other cultures by learning how to interact with one another, aiming to share and learn instead of imposing a culture over another. Each one of us has its ideals and perspectives that when sharing can cause many advancements and improving in the world as we know. Thank you.